Or maybe that's just where we are.
I guess so.
Dennis, it's been a week, I guess, since I saw you. We were in person together. We were in a deep physical embrace at one point. And now here we are.
Let's not go into detail.
Now here we are in Ocean Park.
Live again. It's great to be live.
Yes.
Well, actually, recorded live.
Recorded live, yes. The actual listener will be hearing this within 1 to 25 days, depending on my editing prowess.
Schedule. It was a wonderful trip, and your work is deeply appreciated.
My work.
Your professional work, your video crafting, your documentarianism.
Documentarianism. Yes. I majored in that in college.
Yeah, I loved it.
I was so disappointed that my phone, apparently having your phone track your exact location to the yard when you're on the golf course via GPS signals, and then continuing to record 4K video of entertainment that evening. My phone died. And I don't know. I really thought I was recording when you were giving your performance. And that moment when you realized that I was recording you and not backstage ready to hop out and dance was so brilliant. And the expression on your face was just that of betrayal. And it was so lovely. And I was so happy to be recording that at the time that it happened.
And you didn't.
But then the recording is not on my phone.
So there you go. That happens so much that you only have to lay back and say, it was meant to be. It was meant to be only the moment.
Exactly. And so much of what happens when we are together there at our little soiree in Myrtle Beach is you're supposed to be there in the moment. And yes, we capture a little bit of video here and there, a little bit of sound, but the true magic of what happens there is when we are there in the groove, in the moment, just being together.
Our individual and common expression is so unified that the here and now-ness of it is as solid as any moment I've ever had like that.
Yes.
And it's different than what happens when I'm playing in a local band who, has me up and then we figure it out. And I have ultimately the same in the moment experience, which of course drives all sorts of physiological events, different synapses working and different types of shit happening to your nerves. But that's nowhere near what happens, because when I'm playing there, we're playing a song. And when we're playing in Myrtle Beach, we're just playing together.
Correct.
We're just playing together. And it might be, and it is almost always harmonious, a lot of fun. I knew that you had only captured some of it. And I know that anybody like Tall Paul is going to say, where am I? He did that beautiful rendition of Blind that he, co-wrote with Rick 30 years ago. It was fantastic. And since then, thinking about the tunes and literally listening to them in my head, or what I can remember snippets. And then, of course, your video brought home. Now, I will say that I have an idea for you, is that can you hear me okay? Because your face is frozen on the screen.
I can, and so is yours. Luckily, this is a podcast.
Ooh. Hey. And to start us up again, man.
Yeah. About one thing that came to mind when we were there making just this glorious music was in Spain. I'm sure you've heard the word ole that people say when that's a thing that the audience says when either a musician or a dancer or a bullfighter is doing something amazing. And the origins of that go back to when the Moors conquered Spain, and it's basically saying Allah. The idea is the performer has conjured God because they've done such a beautiful thing. They've brought divinity to earth, and that is what you're applauding when you say ole.
Where can people send money to listen to you say these things?
Because I know, right? It's patreon.com/happy hour. You can find it right there.
Right. But because what you just said can change people's lives.
I know, right?
Put your hand on the screen, man. Put your hand on the screen, bro.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel you.
Yes.
So that is what, we have moments there that is just pure fucking bliss in a way that it can't be put into words. It's just that perfect where we all do a turnaround and come back on beat number one or whatever. It's just
there was a long, moderate paced blues tune that we started one evening that had one.
And we finished five evenings later. No,
all but one person in the room was part of what became a circle.
Yes.
And the observer was Chef Jojo, who was nodding and in what he described, and I quote, "It's the best time I've ever had in my life."
Hell yes.
So
I gave him my phone for recording several of the videos that we have. He gets definitely some credits for that.
The shots you captured of him cooking were great, but they omitted the final dish. And he and I had a huge laugh over the picture of the dessert, which not only had been already ravishly eaten, but there appeared to be a little spit of gobbler, a little goob in the side where salivation had pooled in the ice cream. And we just laughed and laughed. Jojo and he is a professional and has fed as many as 2,400 people lunch. Yeah. That's what he's been in charge of in his life. And so him in a kitchen by himself.
But when the dish came across my vision, like I didn't want to take my camera out and take a picture of it. I just wanted to get that in my belly.
Oh, so guess who left a plastic container of his grandmother's recipe chocolate sauce? Who left a container of it?
Really?
In the fridge. And I was the last one to leave. So listen to this. So I get to Danny's house. And I know that the festivities of the golf weekend are ending and that soon I will clean up my act. But in one last binge, I buy a half a gallon of vanilla bean ice cream.
Yes.
And I have a Tupperware that's 2 fingers thick with sauce. It's enough for 10 servings. And I ate 3/4 of it in 3 servings. Nice. I was in heaven. Then, of course, I nodded off and I was in bed. Of course.
Sure. This was more or less the day or two after we left?
Yes, the day after. So sure. But
because if you'd waited a week, it could have been a Superbowl Sunday.
Did you watch the game?
Did I watch the game? Hell no.
No? Ridiculous?
At from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. my time? No, that's not the thing that happens.
Were you too drunk? You too drunk?
Yeah, I was too drunk at 4 a.m. to, yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
And too jet lagged. But
yeah, when'd you get back?
I got back on Super Bowl Sunday around noon my time. So then by 10 I was in bed. That would have been a couple hours before the game. But anyway, yeah, well, not a thing.
So my man Matt Stafford, quarterback for LA Rams, they won. I was cheering them on. So I was successfully selected the Bengals to beat Kansas City, and I was overjoyed with that, much to my brother's total anger at the way it was communicated. But then also that same team I wanted to win to get into the Super Bowl. I didn't want to win the game, and so that came to pass. Well, but it's interesting for Michigan, for the city of Detroit, because Matt Stafford was drafted there in 2009. He's been there for 12 years, and he has better statistics than virtually like age statistics. At what age did he do this or that? Right. Better than Joe Montana, better than Brady, better than others because he was so young. But better 12 years, huh?
Better than me? That seems unlikely.
As hard as that is to believe. So he had all the stats, but he never won a playoff game. The only playoff game it was in New Orleans, blah, blah, blah. But for him to be traded and it to be publicized that the coach of the team says, we have invited him only to win the Super Bowl, and then he does it. For us in Detroit, it's, Matthew.
Right.
We knew that the GM and the corporate nonsense in the Ford family is what makes you unable to be a successful in the one thing that matters the most, which is wins in the Super Bowl.
The one
we
thing
knew it wasn't you. We knew it wasn't you. We knew all the time it wasn't you. Never did you think it was you. Well, no, okay. It's them. So anyway, enough of that. I see you have on Detroit Lions blue, so that's what sparked the blue and silver, as it turns out. That's what sparked this conversation. I know you've just enjoyed it so much.
It was great to meet Joe. You probably don't recall, but in the last episode, you said, "Hey, when you meet Joe, just call him Chef the whole time. Don't call him Joe. Call him Chef."
Did you?
And when he was in the kitchen, I said, "Hey, Chef, how's it going?" He said, "Don't you ever fucking call me that again." And I suspected that you had set me up for something like this, but he went on this rant about how any little podunk doofus that goes through culinary, like 1 month of culinary school, like demands to be called chef. And that's a load of bullshit. But I thought that was funny. And I loved that you had set me up to set him up for that. So.
I didn't know he was going to say that.
But you knew that would rub him the wrong way. Like,
No, I didn't.
That's why.
No, I didn't.
Really?
Total news to me.
Okay.
Honest to God.
Okay.
Total news to me. I was hoping it would catch on. He's never ranted on me about that ever.
Well, I thought that was hilarious. What an amazing.
I've never called him chef, by the way. I've never called him chef. So
you wouldn't. He's your brother, but yeah. So anyway.
Schlep. He's cooking.
Schlep Joe.
Schlep Joe.
So after I met with you, I saw Danny, who you had spent some time with, and he told the story about your time with him, and it like coincided exactly with your story. For once, I believe you, or either you guys got your story together.
You mean the fishing story?
The fishing story about finding a creek.
Yeah.
There wasn't fish, and there was a young guy there with two rods, and like it all matched up perfectly with your story.
I'm glad that I passed your questionable test.
Yes,
I think the
smell test.
Smell test.
I don't know. That's what they call stuff like that.
You're an image of yourself, correct? You're looking increasingly like the young child in the Addams Family with your peak of hair that dips down into your rather formidable forehead.
Yes, I very much need a haircut. Yes.
It almost matches the exact slope of your nose. So it's you've become a caricature of yourself.
I could part it one side.
Why don't you, put some Brill cream on it and make a little wave there?
Yes, I could do that, and maybe I will, but probably not.
So there's one clip, one moment on the docufilm, the docu video that is my favorite of many. Well, there's a couple, but this is my ultimate favorite. Let me tell you my great joy and surprise at the fact that at the end of the show, you did an during credits moment. It was the Vorba concert. Orba. I never did know the name of it.
They should sponsor this episode. Just saying.
It was very strange, and I thought by far
really
the best performance of the whole weekend for me.
That was so late at night, and we were so ready for bed. Let's say.
Did we play poker that night?
I don't think so. I think we were several whiskeys deep at that point, and it was just you and me and Don. And
that's right.
We were just sitting there, and you were just going crazy on this Orba thing. So for our two listeners that weren't present at the get together, this Orba thing, and I will put a link in the show notes, despite them not sponsoring us because lame. But
let's hatch a plan for this.
Yes. Hey, Orb spokespeople, I can probably arrange more dentists playing your device
in a reach that is worldwide.
Exactly. It's going to go viral.
Not to mention, we were at one point 460th most listened to podcast in Uruguay, or was it 640?
That was moons ago, but yes. So anyway, shut up and let me talk about the Orba. God damn it. It's just
okay.
This Orba is this little thing. It's like the size of a softball or maybe a billiard ball.
It's if you take a baseball and cut it in half, you have this thing in your hand. It's that small.
Okay. And
in fact,
why don't you do the ad read about the
just because it's that small, it's more difficult to play, and it's really cool. Back to you, Chet.
So there's 6 or 8 buttons on the top, and they all make these different sounds. It's like a synthesizer sort of thing, and they all make different sounds. But then there's a button in the middle that you can like change whether or not you're playing like percussion synthesized sounds or bass or chords of some sort of organ or something,
or piano or some weird electronic.
Yeah, some weird. Yeah,
very.
It's this silly little toy basically that you would give to the sort of thing that an 8-year-old might play with. But
8 seems a little young to me, but. Maybe.
But it was right in Dennis's wheelhouse of entertainment.
You're being gracious by saying 8-year-old.
Dennis was very entertained by this little thing that you could press.
I love the percussion. It was a fun moment because Don was there was another point when I did it again where he'd had enough of it. So in between all of my playing, he was yelling out, "Stop it, and take it away from him."
Yes, I remember.
Oh Lord. Yeah, that was a new toy. I'd like to get one actually because it was very relaxing to try to figure out. Well, this is the difference of this and other type things is that this has a built-in recording device in it, so that if you press things a certain way, 2 presses in the middle, a pause, and then another press or whatever, there's a code, is to record what you're playing
and repeat it.
And in other words, a track, and it allows you to do 2 tracks. So you have a double track recording device in your hand, but I never got any instructions. I never I mean, I just picked it up. And I didn't understand how to do that. But a couple of times it happened by mistake. And I thought,
that sort of device where there's just buttons that don't really have labels, that like you have to know that you have to hold down this button for 2 seconds, and that's different from just pressing it once.
yes.
There's so many devices out there that are like that, but it's a tough thing to learn.
Oh, I meant to tell you, I just polished off an Abita amber made north of Lake Pontchartrain.
You've mentioned that particular.
I found
before.
some and bought it, and I just finished the last one. What are you hefting this evening?
I have a San Miguel lager, a typical Spanish beverage. Let's see.
I've now switched to
San Miguel Especial.
Especial, San Miguel Especial.
Yes.
I've switched to Anchor Steam beer,
Yes.
which, did we talk about the label? We did, didn't we?
I'm sure we have.
We did. But
Probably several times.
There were two different labels and the beer tasted completely different.
That's because of a different label.
That doesn't make sense. I asked them. They said, no, it's just the same beer. It's the same beer. Anchor Steam beer. It's just a different label. And I said, well, I took 2 6-packs back. And I said, I'm sorry, it's not the beer that I thought it was.
Psychology, man.
And the guy looked at me and said, oh, beer.
The guy looked at you and said, oh, beer?
Yeah, he meant to say, oh, dear, but he said, oh, beer. I don't know. It was a little strange.
Bro, a beer. A dude can't taste beer. Yeah, okay.
That's wow.
Whoa.
Wow. You're like Simon, man. You're like Paul Simon. Did you just make that up?
Yeah, your hair's Garfunkel.
Right.
Although,
if you're weary, feeling small.
yeah. So,
So I went ice fishing.
Did you? Because you went back fishing to Danny's, but then since then,
my life after Myrtle Beach, part 1, going back to Danny's, besides eating the 3 helpings of ice cream and going into a diabetic coma.
Thank you, Kyle.
We got up the next day and cleaned around, and we're out of there by 10. And he had said before, hey, my son, Adam, lives in Washington, D.C. with his girlfriend, Kristen. Can we stop in and see him? Maybe spend the night? I said, let's do it, dude. So we drove only 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
From Topsail Island, which, because we had so much fun talking about what had transpired
right
as the trip was ending, it felt like a 45-minute drive.
Nice.
And we got there not tired at all. And we went to the brewery that he manages called Bluejacket, Washington, D.C. Big shout out. Industrial sized warehouse, the Naval Yard, downtown DC, a freaking warehouse with 45-foot ceilings and glass tops. And that went for 3 blocks, one building.
Damn.
It's all been transformed into bars and restaurants. And so his is huge. And they've got 20 beers up on the wall. Not all of them were active. Some new ones weren't. Went to this coolest place, man, where you go into a bar and it's all electronic. There is a menu projected on the wall.
Whoa.
And you have at your table, of course, the what do you call it? The signal that you need to get the menu and all that. But when you open it, you have the menu for 5 restaurants. Huh. And those 5 restaurants are all in the hub, the middle of which is the bar where you're sitting.
Nice.
And when you walk out that bar down a hallway, all of the little restaurants, including a pie and a pizza and Chinese, and there are 5 of them, all Mexican, etc., as well as the drinks. And so when you do this electronically in order for the table and get your stuff, no matter where you ordered it, they bring it to you because you're right in the hub.
Right.
And that means to me, it's the most extensive restaurant extensive menu that I've ever seen, because it was like shopping online, but they're all right there.
Man.
And it was great. Oh God, the food was good. But here's my bitch.
You have a bitch?
I didn't have an amber.
God damn it.
They had 20 beers. And the closest I could get to an amber was a brown. And the brown was good, and I drank it, but it was a brown, and it wasn't as good. And I'm like, let's do a crusade. Let's do a crusade.
What?
Except in ours, children and women don't die. We'll do a PC version of the crusade.
Wait, women and children don't die? So we just kill the men that don't provide amber?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's fair.
So I flew through Washington Dulles on my way here.
Did you?
I did. And I had an amber in Washington Dulles while I watched a UNC basketball game.
Versus whom?
I forget. They crushed the hell out of them.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't.
I saw a little bit of the UN. Well, never mind.
Anyway.
So cool.
Hub. I like the bar in the middle of a bunch of restaurants.
Yeah,
gig.
and I want to say that the name of it was the Roost, and that the insignia. I could be totally wrong, and the insignia was obviously a rooster.
Oh, really?
A silhouette of a rooster, but as you sit in one spot and roost, and everything comes your way.
Indeed. Future me, when I'm editing this and trying to put show notes together, will either put that in the show notes or not.
The place that he's renting in expensive D.C. is in a community that's a little rental area that sits right on the channel that comes off the Potomac, where the local constabulary for watercrafts has their boats, and fairly large vessels are there.
The constabulary for watercrafts.
Yes, their apartment on the 8th floor, the top floor of a high rise, and the corner has a view from the kitchen of all that water, and the trees and the walkway along it, and the view in the front is way cool. But it's really nice to see how comfortable and really gorgeous hardwood floors in the apartment, big open windows, a big balcony, and they have a roommate, so it's not overly expensive. And we went from there to Joe's and stayed there for days. Had a full body massage from a man at Revive in State College, PA.
Yes, we're all familiar with.
I went back.
Revive.
I had another one. This one was, because he had corrected so much, this one wasn't as painful.
Your first one was Revive, and then the second one's a Revive.
Very good. So Sean, Joe got one too, and then we went out and listened to a band. I'd like to send you a clip of it just so you can hear it. But they billed themselves as, let's see, what did Appalachia? I don't know. That's what I said. There's Americana. And my brother said, "What does that mean?" And I said, "It's folksy, but don't be surprised if there's a banjo there and other. It's Appalachia music in the garage jamming." And in fact, it was a 4-piece band with a guy sitting on a drum, exactly like what we played in Myrtle Beach, the seat drum, and a fiddle player that was extraordinary, a stand-up bass, and a singer who belted it out, who, among other things, played a banjo.
Banjo. What now? So Joe was not banned from the. Joe was not banned from the concert.
No. But so here's the story. This place is in the basement of a certain corner of downtown State College, PA, right in the heart of Penn State, that has a hotel and 3 establishments, a grill room and 2 different bars. One of the bars is where I was, called Zeno's, and Zeno's is a basement.
Is that with an
bar.
X or a Z?
A Z. And that's where the Americana band was playing, and we're at the bar, and Joe's known this guy for 30 years. His name is Dave, bald-headed dude running the place. I'm telling a story about Myrtle Beach in a voice we're in the back corner of the bar, and we're as far away from the band as anybody in the place can be. And I'm telling a story to Joe's son, and I'm using my voice, which is loud enough for them to hear me over the music.
Yep.
So suddenly, the bartender manager rushes over to me, grabs me by the shoulder, and starts shaking my shoulder aggressively and says,
"Shut the fuck up, you asshole."
No. Did you see those Mets? How about those Mets? They were really something, weren't they? Oh, God, those Mets. And then he walks away and goes, makes himself. Then he goes to the tap, because he's probably a little embarrassed of what he just did, but his back is to me and he's completely bald. And I said, "Hey, come back here. I've got a spot lower down on my back. I need that. And when you're done, can I rub your forehead? Can I rub your head?"
What is complaining about the Mets a New England thing?
New England. I'm in State College, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
No. And here the thing was that he was imitating me, not knowing what I was talking about, as if that's what I was being so loud about.
That's what I do all the time.
So when he got, it's just so stupid.
Just imitating you.
And then when he gives me the beer we ordered or whatever, and he was a great bartender, because I wanted an amber. He didn't have one. And he said, "Let me give you something." And he mixed 2 beers. He mixed a brown, I think, with a Pilsner. And damn if it didn't turn red. I was very happy with what he was serving. Yeah. And anyway.
At any rate, anywho.
He was playing the banjo.
Anyway, he was playing the banjo.
So then he looked at me and he said, he started like dancing with the music and moving his hands and saying, "Hear the vibe, man. Hear the vibe. This is just laid back. Music's made to be listened." He was telling me, in essence, "You're being, too loud." And in fact, I was loud enough for my bros to hear, but my response, which I didn't say.
Should we hear it now, or should we?
No, we should hear it.
Should we table it for?
No,
ever?
We should hear it now.
What would be your response, Dennis?
Are you kidding me? Are we not in a fucking bar? Am I not allowed to tell a fucking story in a bar? You served me this beer. right? But I did it because I had a sense, whatever. And after he did this with the Mets, and blah, 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 Joe looked at me and I looked at Joe, and Joe was stunned as I was and looked at me and he said, "Don't piss off Dave." And that's why I didn't say anything. I left him a 30% tip and we shook hands before we left. But since I left there, I lost my credit card, so I canceled it. Apparently, it appears to me that the charge to his place with his big tip may not go through.
Oh, man.
But then I'll call him.
And you'll be really loud and obnoxious.
Hey, Dave. You know what I'll do? I'll
hey,
say,
how about those
Dave.
Mets?
Hey, Dave. What about the Mets? He'd probably just hang up. He was kind of grumpy.
I like how he pegged you as just like a New Yorker asshole.
He's in PA. That's not PA people and New York people don't generally have that type of a riff. If it sounded like I was from New York City,
right?
Yes, you're right. Or a coastal northeastern location that it was obvious from my accent, that could be an issue. Or if I was West Virginia or whatever and sounded like trailer trash,
right?
Which, you know what, in hindsight, that might be what I should have done. I should have started the story over just as loud, but this time doing it in a hillbilly accent.
Exactly.
Then he would give me the double thumbs up.
Nice.
Give us some free beer.
So this place was called Zeno's, you said?
Zeno's. Anyway, we left there, and then we went, I'd say goodbye, and then I went to my brother Tim's house. And as planned, changed into our heaviest clothes we had, including bib overall, bib lined snow pants, and trudged out to Chautauqua Lake, which deserves a link, particularly this time of year. I'll send you a picture, but you can get one online better. But this lake is, and it's where a place I mentioned before, the Chautauqua Institute.
I have linked to that before.
Yep. Yes. And anyway, we trudged out there. He is amazing to do the way that he can build things, but the sled that he bought that has all the equipment in it that you drag out on the lake and has a pop-up tent that's got a heater in it if you want it, was like pulling a concrete block through the snow, he said. So he constructed a set of skis and raised it about 10 inches off the ground, and it was like a hot knife pouring through butter on that ice. You could pull it with one hand. So we trudge out, and I see it's a panorama of it's snowing a bit. So white snow 2 feet deep on an ice-covered, snow-covered lake with silhouettes of black trees and some houses around. And there, sitting around about 12 different holes they had dug in the ice, were 6 Amish men, all dressed identically except one, in long black coats, knee-high black boots, and a straw hat.
Huh.
And the other man, who figured correctly was the father, had on not a big overcoat, but a small coat. And he was running from hole to hole. That image of that dark black coats, black boots, straw hat, out of respect for them, I didn't take a picture, even though I had a camera in my pocket. They don't.
You're painting one now, so that's lovely.
Yes, there it is. This is it.
It's
so
vivid.
They had one dude, man. He didn't have gloves on, for Christ's sake. He had caught 2 buckets, 2 5-gallon buckets of sunfish that were about 5 to 6 inches long, each one a crunchy bite. You're allowed 50 fish per man. He had caught enough.
50 per man
is the limit for sunfish. He had caught enough for him and probably 2 of his brothers. When they were packing up to leave, and they had their own sled and they were putting all their equipment on, and the old man was pouring 5 buckets of fish into one and then stowing the empty buckets. And I said to him, he was right next to me, and I said to him, "At least you got enough for a meal." And he looked at me and he just said, real straight face, he said, "I got 12 kids. It ain't going to go far." So he was with his 5 of his boys, and he had 7 more at home. He certainly was not 38 years old. He was not.
Birth control is an invention.
Not for the Amish.
No, that's too much.
And then, blah, blah, blah. When they got up to leave, they paraded as a group off the ice, each of them with their heads down against the wind. And it was snowing. This was a Pulitzer image in the white landscape and the silhouettes of the trees and these 6 clad figures, 5 of them in black long coats. It was, I thought, oh man, what an image. We caught 14, took them back, fried them up, had a snack.
Nice.
So we fished through the ice. And there's more ice stories, but I'll end there for now. We'll come back to it when we run out of things.
So in the week after Myrtle Beach, Phil invited me out to a music gig in Newton, North Carolina.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was like, sure, I'll go. And apparently it was supposed to be headlined by a guy that has played with Leonard Skinner and a bunch of famous bands. But apparently at the last minute, he tested positive for COVID and so couldn't. And the guy that was going to be there arranged for several other people to play, including Phil himself. And Phil came to pick me up at my parents' house. And then we went out there. And about halfway through the set, they invited Phil up and he did some amazing work as he can. And it was just lovely to...
and a good crowd?
Good crowd, not a single mask worn by anyone, no. And it was a full bar, but it was good. It's a good old.
What was the name of the bar? Because there was a bar up in Newton we used to go to that had big iron railings in front of it, and was all hardwood and low slung. Or that was in Newton, or no, that was Hickory.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was, let me see.
You got to give him a shout out.
Novel Tap Room, it was called. And it was lovely. And he played 4 or 5 songs and I recorded them for him. And it was just nice to go out and hang out with the regular old folks.
And the old man didn't venture out?
The old man did not venture out. No, that was way too late for him.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. And, shout out to Phil for being the amazing Phil that he is.
He and Rick did some. Was Rick right now, or was it Steve?
Rick.
Yeah, it was amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, they certainly were able to jam together in a way that was just elegant and beautiful.
Tom Paul had written remarks for his speech to win the ultimate trophy.
Did he? Tell me about this. No,
don't you remember?
I don't remember written remarks.
We had moved beyond the awards. We were getting ready to do the talent show.
Right.
And I had started doing the preliminaries on that, and he interrupted me. He was standing the entryway to the kitchen corridor there, and said, "Hey, wait." He said, "Wait, before you go on," he said, and he had pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket, like you would at the Academy Awards, and he opened it up and he said, "I took the moment. I do have a few prepared remarks for winning the trophy." And I said, "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, "we have prepared remarks." And
maybe I do recall that. Yes.
And he read them. And it said he was humbled and he was honored and this and that. And he got about 2 or 3 sentences into it and nobody was paying attention when people started talking. and I paid attention, and after he got through it all, and I remember how much fun it was that nobody had ever done that, although Mike Masterson had written out a great epic poem.
Yes.
that of course, it was 12 stanzas if it was a one.
So at the end of that particular year, I found that piece of paper and I shoved it in my backpack. And then like 7 years later, I found it and was reminiscing over it. And I don't know where I put it now, but
you'll find it. So I wanted to say your anthem of the committee was my selection of something I was responsible to deliver, which was the anthem for the 25th and final Myrtle Beach Classic. So yours has been selected. And I was just so happy to see that it was there recorded in video and sound. However, as your singing voice was a bit quiet, and it's very difficult to hear what you're saying. And I have the words because I found a copy of it and brought it home.
You found my piece of paper with my copy?
Yes. So I have it. And so this is what I want to do. I want to dub the video. We could do this. I'll dub the video. I don't know how I'll do it.
So many of the videos that I had to work were from my father's phone, and his phone is currently going through this bizarre problem that I haven't found a solution for, where he starts recording, and it's like for the first 30 seconds of the recording, there's a sound guy at the mixer slowly raising the volume, and then at 30 seconds in, it's the normal volume. But like it starts super quiet, and I have not found any sort of solution to this. Looking on the Google,
my harp playing was exceptionally loud. I thought in a couple of.
But so as such, a lot of the content that we had was like the audio was messed up.
Yeah.
But yes, I can do a repeat performance for the soundtrack when later we re-release that album.
You could do that, but I want to dub it too. I think it'd be funny. Do you remember if we talked about the Chevy Chase dubbing of the Paul Simon tune? That went viral.
You can call me Al.
You can call me what?
Al.
Al?
Yeah. That was the music video for that song. And it was, and I remember at the time that it came out, I did not necessarily distinguish between Paul Simon and Chevy Chase. Like I thought that Chevy Chase sang that song because that was the video that I saw because I was a kid.
Wait. So how old were you?
You Can Call Me Out came out.
Because you must have been young to think that.
I was 8.
So you
7.
thought, as an 8-year-old, you thought that Chevy Chase was actually singing.
Okay, so in 86, I guess MTV would have been around in 86.
Yeah.
So what I saw, I had no idea who Paul Simon was.
Of course,
and
not at 8 years old.
what I saw on the TV was Chevy Chase singing the song. And
you
I was
thought,
like,
wow, that dude can sing.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that, as a kid, like I remember when I first discovered that the people that were playing characters on TV were actors and they weren't the actual people or whatever.
Right.
So that sort of realization. But yeah, and I also didn't really know Chevy Chase from anything at age 8. So on the way back over the pond, I watched National Lampoon's Vacation because I was super tired but I wanted to watch something because I couldn't sleep, and I wanted to watch something really easy to consume.
Yeah, right.
And there were a bunch of new movies that I really wanted that I do still want to watch, but I was just like, I just want to watch something that's easy, and it's super stupid and funny. Like it is what it is.
It's classic. It's classic. It isn't that. And who's the woman starring that? Beverly Ann D'Angelo.
Yes.
Who is, you don't know her during her time, but she always played the mob woman or the other woman, et cetera, and was in many serious roles. And it was great, partly because of her, I thought.
Yes, for sure.
She for sure.
Hey,
she for sure. You just coined a new word. She for sure.
That sounds like a province in England.
She for sure.
I'm from she for sure.
Where are you from, man?
She for sure.
I'm from she for sure. Oh, you're over the deal. Very good. Well, it's. I had to deal with a lot of snow here. You can imagine from the ice fishing story that as I plotted closer and closer to home, they had experienced this when I was there. I think I showed you the picture, about 2 feet of snow. And so the snow had melted, then there was an ice storm. So I had ice on my sidewalk that literally was 2 inches thick and a hazard beyond belief, particularly when it starts to melt. So I was out there with salt and a chopper. That's the tool of the week, is the straight edge ice chopper.
What is the chopper?
It is a long handled tool that has the bottom of it a forged metal blade that is about the size of 5 spatulas that you would use to flip over an omelet.
It's not an axe. It's not a hoe.
No,
it's not a shovel.
It's a chopper. The sharp edge blade is on the bottom of a half a circle. And that.
On the bottom of half a circle.
So picture a grapefruit, a large grapefruit, cut in half.
Yes.
The silhouette with the flat half on the bottom is the blade sharp enough to chop the ice with a sharp blow.
Oh.
Bam.
Okay.
Riveting to the shoulder.
Just like our content. This content is riveting to the shoulder. So well, I just looked up Beverly D'Angelo. You want to guess how old she is?
D'Angelo.
It's D'Angelo.
Not D'Angelo. Not D'Angelo. D'Angelo.
It's D.
There's apostrophe. That's a D'Angelo.
Apostrophe. Okay. Do you want to guess how old she is?
Now?
Yeah.
82.
She's 70. I'm offended on her behalf.
Oh God, I'm in trouble. Sorry, Beverly.
And from 1997 to 2003, who was her boyfriend?
Get some more blankets.
You'll never guess this.
Alan Arkin.
Got their first name right. Al Pacino.
Oh, I knew that.
He dated Al Pacino. So anyway, that's our fun fact for the week with our tool for the week of the chopper.
And I could carry that for you, honey.
I gotta get it there before.
Hey, let me take it down the stairs. I gotta go. Love you, man.
Okay.
Time's up.
Bye. Take whatever that is down the stairs. Take the chopper down the stairs. Okay, that's it for episode number 143. Dennis and I really did spend some time together, and we made some amazing music together. You can help support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. You can find the notes for this episode at happyhour.fm/143. And we look forward to having you back next week.